Hi, this is a special episode of the Critical Introverts podcast. I'm your host, Senor Filth. I have Trevor Brown and Andres Segovia. This is kind of a special episode because I'm going to now be sort of part of the Acropolis news feed kind of thing. So I figure it'd be kind of fun to just bring on the other two that are involved with it, and we just sort of shoot the shit of us as to like what the hell's going on this week or the last 2 weeks or something like that. All right, so let's just kind of get into I don't think we necessarily have to describe it, or maybe if we do, but the whole Libs of TikTok debacle. I guess if anyone kind of just generally knows what the Libs of TikTok is, it's a Twitter page that just reposts random TikTok videos of just...
And it's not just random TikTok videos. It's videos of very specific people of a very particular political bend, them being American liberals, which means race and gender socialists, basically.
And on top of that, at their behest, they said, "Please share these videos."
Yeah,
someone took them to heart and just shared them on Twitter.
Yeah. And then a member of the corporate press, which is not the enemy of the people, it is the enemy of humanity, went and showed like in their article about Libs of TikTok, showed their address, their name,
real estate information,
their face, and like went over to the like girl's parents' house.
Yeah.
To be honest, based on the feed, I thought it was a guy running it.
Yeah, me too.
Because it was very direct. But I think it was a girl, it was a woman, you know, the only direct woman to ever exist.
Yeah.
You know, a woman who ever just gets straight to the point. You know, there's no other woman like that. And the Washington Post tried to get her killed. Because the Washington Post is the enemy of humanity.
It's interesting because watching the Libs of TikTok become kind of popular, it reminded me of like how YouTube used to be like in the beginning of the culture war. Like there was a lot of response videos from just people just responding to, you know, it seemed like it was either like bedroom socialist types, or it was like big corporate media YouTube videos that were trying to like reach the kids with some message. And it's
the various privilege raps.
Yeah.
The various things from back in the day. Those were marketed to me when I was in still in high school. I remember that. I remember thinking, why? Just why?
Yeah, did you watch those what was it called? MTV had like a fuck, what are they called? I think Debunked.
The privilege rap?
I think it was part of that. They had like a series with some black woman named Francesca Ramsey, I think.
Oh, yes. Those 30-minute long video essays with MTV money.
Yeah.
Where this rich woman was telling me that I was evil because I was born wrong.
Yeah.
But also, she's not a racist. I'm a racist for disagreeing with her. You know?
Yeah, that was like that was an interesting time when, for people like me, we were starting to notice the left start of going a bit insane, because they were. It's one thing to like put out those ideas, but it's another thing to like not question and just accept it. It was really strange. Like there was no combating those ideas, and you would always get the common response of like, "Oh, that's just a small minority," blah blah blah, kind of shit. But
it's
I'm
just
like,
on college campuses.
Yeah, and then
Those people will not get jobs and implement their ideas in any way. Don't worry about it. It'll never affect anything. Don't worry. It's just on the internet. It's just on college campuses.
Yeah.
It's just your HR department. It's just your boss. It's just your coworkers. You know, it's like, come on.
Yeah, and now you see those same ridiculous ideas in the mainstream, and like I don't know how to explain to people like how the left has gone extreme, and you just watch those videos and just see the shit that they're saying. Because I think they equate like extreme with like something that's like underground on the internet or some shit like that. So if it's mainstream, I think they just think it's more accepted, or I don't know. It's hard to explain how that
You
became.
get these posts where they say right-wing radicalization is bad, but left-wing radicalization is progress, like word for word.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how they think. It's and the reason this Washington, here's the thing, a lot of people in the corporate press, they use the I guess the prestige, I'm gonna use that in quotes, of the corporate press as skin suits.
Uh-huh.
You know, where it's like, I'm a Washington Post journalist.
Yeah.
I'm a New York Times journalist. So with my journalism, I'm going to write this 40,000 word article about why men are bad.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll get things like that. Like, in the name of journalism, they'll put their opinions into the articles.
Yeah.
And they'll also like bury things like the not their opinion in like the middle of the article. And it turns out, oh, in the middle of the article, it's like turns out this guy actually never did anything wrong. But anyway, the next paragraph talking about how wrong and evil and all these evil wrong things he's done.
But if he was wrong, yeah, it's weird. I remember,
But if you look at this through a critical lens,
yeah, yeah, I remember like early on, like noticing just the quality of journalism on a mainstream level just was kind of tanking. So that's why I sort of like going into more alternative media, and it just feels like I assumed that everyone else took that shit just as silly as I did. But then now, like, I'm seeing like my common, people just spewing out social justice crap. I'm just like, didn't you just think of what you're saying? It just sounds ridiculous. And how the fuck?
Have you ever read the book I Am Legend?
Not
the movie, but read the book.
No, but I've heard it's. I kind of know how it ends.
Yeah, I haven't either. But from friends of mine who have, they say that the book is actually about a vampire hunter. Like, he's a legendary vampire hunter. So he's protecting all the humans from the evil vampires. But what happens is the entire human race then gets turned into evil vampires.
Yeah.
So then it's just him, the last human, murdering all the vampires. And like, it starts off with the child saying, save me from the vampires. And then there's another child, a generation after, saying, save me from the vampire hunter.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going on with you. You're going, save me from the vampires, while the rest of them are already vampires. You know,
that actually leads to a great tangent to that topic. But before we kind of leave the whole Libs of TikTok thing, I wanted to share my screen, if you guys don't mind. Did you guys see what Tim IRL, Tim in real life, did today?
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, you don't mind? I'll share it for people that haven't seen it.
It's so brutal. I wish I had that kind of money. I'd be doing stuff like that all the time. It's so simple too.
You guys, let me know if you guys see it.
I think he needs to give me permission. Yeah, now I see it.
Wow.
Whoa.
All right, so here's the actual video. I don't think the audio's on, but I'll let it play.
That's okay.
This is how you turn vampires into vampire hunters.
Oh, dude.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude. Taylor Rose.
It's so broad. It's in pink writing too. You don't expect it to be so brutal, but it just is. And it's not even anything that bad. It's like, hey, you did this. Thanks, bye.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome to do.
Yeah, it's epic. I think he did that with the help of Jeremy Boring, one of the guys behind the Daily Wire.
Yeah, I think he paid for half of it or something like that. But yeah, it's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, but Taylor Lorenz was putting it up on her Twitter. It's like, oh, look, they're doxing me. Like, what?
Did she really?
You're the one that did the doxing. They're trying to call me out for my journalistic integrity.
Did he broadcast your address, Taylor?
Yeah.
and put it on the internet forever, Taylor. You know?
Oh man, that's hilarious. I just wanted to cap that whole thing on the lips of TikTok with that, because when you brought up your Filth, the thing that you mentioned with people moving away just like you did because you think for yourself. I think you guys might have seen, or at least one of you reacted to a post that I reposted on my Instagram stories. That was something I've done on other platforms. I just didn't do it on Instagram.
What?
And I actually talked about it on one of my locals episodes for Off the Record. We're like, how did the same crowd that was anti-war is now wanting war? How did that crowd that say Occupy Wall Street are defending these billionaires that made so much from the pandemic, but the small businesses that were destroyed in the mix and the middle class being destroyed, don't forget them. And then all those that were against Big Pharma are shills for Big Pharma. It's like, wait, when did they switch?
It's because they're vampires and we're vampire hunters. It just works so well. Like, I didn't expect this to work so well.
It kind of goes to the whole thing being like a description of like a software update. That's what we call these people non-playable characters, because it's like they wait for the download from the main server, and as soon as they get it, that's the thing that they operate with.
Yeah, there is something about them where no matter what the position is, they have to take the opposite. It's really kind of odd.
In this case, though, they've actually been going more and more left. They've fallen off the cliff almost, like lemurs.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's sad, you know? Like, I used to religiously read the Drudge Report until I felt there was something off about it. And we don't really have an answer since Matt Drudge is a recluse. And it was just like such a hateful anti-Trump spin, like in the latter year or 18 months of Trump's presidency. And I'm like, I don't really, this is not Drudge. It didn't feel like Drudge. And there were rumors that he had sold, because many different people have actually managed and edited the Drudge Report. It wasn't just always him. And that the new one he sold it to was someone, I don't know if it was from Slate or Salon. Like, in other words, a leftist.
Yeah.
And that explains why there was a radical shift. But you would think that Matt Drudge would either step in or at least explain that instead of just letting it go to the crapper the way it has. So,
what's the Drudge Report?
I remember the Drudge Report. Yeah.
Was that a serious question, Trevor? Or are you being sarcastic?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so Matt Drudge was the only reporter in the world he was the first reporter in the country to be sued by the White House because he broke the Monica Lewinsky scandal during the Clinton administration. Nobody else would do so. Ever since then, he was the go-to fly on the wall in Washington, D.C. politics.
Yeah.
So whatever big news story there was, everybody would check Drudge first. All these news agencies would be checking on Drudge to see if he covered it first. And all Drudge ever did was really kind of signal boost anything, because he would just put headlines from other places. Sometimes he would change the headline of the story for something better suited, and they'll just play off that headline, but it's not his story. But every now and then he has his original contributions. So he was always considered a right-wing radical, because it was him, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and the like, that they always seen that way. So I remember, and I posted this to my newsreel back before it became the Andrew Segovia Show again. Alex Jones, someone that I didn't follow, and I still don't, but it's interesting to see his takes every now and then. He was in studio, and then he starts having like a fangirl moment, quite literally, because like, holy smokes, Matt Drudge is in studio. Like, he just happened to walk on in, but Matt Drudge would not get in front of the camera. So then behind the camera, they give him a microphone. So it was a complete a takeover of Alex Jones' show, where it became an interview, and Alex was just skipping the commercials. Like, I can't believe I'm talking to Matt Drudge. And Matt Drudge was basically saying about Alex Jones and there was someone else. He's from Univision, the Spanish news stations, Jorge Ramos.
Yeah.
These are the last two true journalists left
really?
in the country. So when I heard Matt Drudge say that about Jorge Ramos, like, how could you have respect for someone that I see totally left leaning?
Yeah.
Well, it's because I did see Jorge Ramos was very tough. Also, he was like the only tough journalist from that side of the aisle against Obama during his presidency, which I found, right, hold their feet to the fire kind of
Glenn
thing.
Greenwald is a pretty good one.
Yeah, he's
Pretty good
dope. I
example.
like him a
It's
lot.
another one. Yeah. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. That's why it was just such an oddball shift that not even Alex Jones could answer what happened to the Drudge Report. Because I even heard him chiming in recently that we don't know what happened to the Drudge Report. It's like, what do you mean you guys don't know? You guys don't talk? So
Yeah.
does anybody even know where Matt Drudge is then? So
Is
I
Matt
was
Drudge
very
still alive? Dun dun dun.
did the Clintons finally get him and add to the body count? I don't know. But
Yeah, I
always found it-
remember Drudge Report being big like in 09 or 08 or 09 around that time.
Man, like,
And
so many
then
views a month.
I just and then all of a sudden like I said I kind of go away from following stuff, and then I come back and I hear it's like totally flipped. It's weird. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think the last time I tuned into him was about a few weeks into the 2 weeks to slow the spread kind of thing.
yeah.
A few weeks into it. So that was like the last time I tuned into that, and it saddened me because he was my homepage.
Yeah.
Like, get this thing. So there were people that did find other platforms that they could land on, that they could digest something similar to the Drudge Report.
Yeah.
But there are some that are just glued to the main news networks, the alphabet news networks like ABC, Fox, and CBS, Microsoft, NBC. That's what people don't know. MSNBC is Microsoft,
Mhm.
and all these things. And they just, I guess what they say is old habits die hardest. And when you have the older generation that can't even navigate a phone, that to them is just a simple, click the remote and there it is, because this is available for free. Or
Yeah.
you see it at the transit stations or the airports or the stores. These things are always running. You go to the gym, these things are on. Like, these channels are the ones that are always on.
Yeah.
And just to break away from that habit, I understand why this was all psychological for a lot of them. It's like, don't tell me to let go what I love.
Yeah. It's
Same thing with a member of my family. It's like, I'll say I'm in the news business. The corporate press has gotten this wrong. You know,
Yeah, it's
they've
hard
gotten
to-
this completely wrong. And then she's like, no, Trump's bad. Trump's this. It's like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to tell people that, like, you know, mainstream news, like, just the quality of it is just not good. Like, that's what drifted me away from it, was just, I think it was a Trayvon Martin thing that really kind of made me notice that, like, they were just taking such a pussy approach to the story.
Nah, that's a nostalgic one.
Yeah, like they were being really scared to mention the details, and that's when I just sort of like it was just boring to me that they were so safe with it. And
Trayvon Martin is the one who rushed a 5'4" cop who was pointing a gun and
No.
said,
No.
"Freeze," or was
No.
am I thinking of?
No.
Trayvon Martin was a victim of a stand your ground rule.
Yeah,
that
in
this
Florida.
guy that worked neighborhood watch named George Zimmerman in Florida got into a fight with this I think it was a gated community.
yeah,
Yeah, jumped the
I think
fence.
so.
Yeah. So after
Wait,
a fight,
I'm getting the year wrong. What year is this one?
I think like 2008, around there.
no,
Okay,
I think
that
it
makes
was a
sense.
little
Was-
later.
was it a little
because
later?
It
Okay.
was it was a little later. I think it was between 10 and 12, because this was before Black Lives Matter started. Black Lives Matter started in 2016 with Michael Brown and Ferguson. So it was around that time after Obama got elected, and then the race war literally started through that. Because
Mhm.
if I had a son, he looked like Trayvon.
Yeah,
Then that means you're not raising him right. So
yeah.
that's where it all started. But it really highlighted, they were trying to make it show that it was a white man killing a black kid who was 17, but they're saying he killed a black kid. But I guess the reason they couldn't make it stick was because the dude happened to be un hispano. He just happened to have an English sounding name.
Yeah, and I think was it MSNBC that edited like a phone conversation between Zimmerman and the cops, I think.
Yes, they did.
I forgot what the deal. It was something like he was the cop was asking for his description and like why is he suspicious or something like that, and they edited so they made him say like, I forget what it was, like they highlighted him saying, oh, he's black, and that was kind of it. They didn't really mention anything else.
They trimmed down the call.
Yeah, and it was really deliberate. And even then, I remember people like defending.
You could hear. I think I remember this. You could have heard it at the time too. A lot of people were even making fun of it.
Yeah.
Too. I think even SNL did, like, or was one of those. Maybe it was The Onion back when The Onion was still cool, where they took a thing where they had the choppy audio. And it's like, what do you want me to say, sir? I need a description of the person who is trying to kill you so that the cops can properly assist you. I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
Like Onion, I think they did something like that back in the day.
I don't know if it was The Onion, but I remember something like that too for a skit. Yeah. But this all together with what is happening and how individuals like you, Senor Filth, have been. You are alert. You are aware of these things, and how come others aren't? But how do we get that information to them if the only channels they'll rely on are those? Everything you chose for today's show prep kind of goes together with the significance of this whole Twitter purchase by Elon Musk. Now, let's not kid ourselves. The deal's not done. Okay, Twitter can still walk away. It's just that they'll be in breach of their fiduciary duty to their shareholders.
And Elon Musk will have to dedicate like at least a year or two just to unroot all of the deeply embedded cultural problems in Twitter, which that doesn't matter because that's a Silicon Valley problem, not a Twitter problem. And I don't think it can happen. But
and if anyone knows, that would be Elon. I mean, he's done a lot of this stuff himself. But the thing is that one of the major things when I gotta be careful of my words here now because your stream might be taken down when you put it up. Let's just say the information that went down in November 2020. Yeah. There were things leading up to it, such as the infamous laptop, and now we're finding out there's more than one laptop. Oh my goodness! So this information, where you had the fourth largest newspaper publication censored on Twitter, and Jack Dorsey at the Senate hearing saying, "Oh, they could still they're not removed from Twitter. They're still on Twitter. They just can't access your Twitter until they remove that tweet."
Yeah,
and it's like, well, then what's the point? Because all the traffic was through that. Well, they can take it down and post it back up. Yeah, the traffic is done, and you throttled it.
Yeah, I remember. I remember when that laptop thing happened. I was trying to tell people like this is a big deal. Like this is a campaign ending story, but it's almost like it's like if it wasn't coming from the television screen, it can't be trusted, kind of shit. And it was. It felt like I was just like talking to the wall when I was telling people, and I would even like bring, I would explain it as good as I can, be calm, not come off like a, like a conspiracy theorist nut, and like they would just sort of blink at me and not know how to react.
And it's the same people who, leading up to the election, were like, Trump is literally stealing mailboxes.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah,
and then literally the minute the results came in, a few weeks later, and this is like leading up to the November 2020 election, and even during the day of the election, even CNN was like, the results may vary because Trump was stealing mailboxes. Like, shut up, Stelter.
Yeah.
Stupid, decrepit fat man.
Yeah.
But
I remember even like the night of the election, kind of like slowly kind of looking at the results as they were coming, and there was something weird that was going on. Like it was like I I think it was like around 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, well, why we haven't gotten any results yet? Like, it should have been done already, but again, like, no one knew how to react because it wasn't coming from a television screen. It was just someone in the room with him. It was.
And then Nevada took a week and a half.
Like, I remember watching, because the place I worked at the time, due to the shutdowns, I was the only person that was going in there, and I would play the hearings, all the court hearings, and I'd have the video up and, you know, have them pretty loud because I was relatively by myself in the place I was working at. There was like security guards and other people, but I mean, again, like this is kind of historical shit happening, but because they weren't told to care, they're just gonna say that Trump is a jerk or some shit like that. It was a weird realization that, like, I was like, something very wrong is going on.
I just need to say for the record, I am not questioning the safest, most secure election ever in history. This is just Trevor and Senor Filth talking. The thing that they're talking. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
And I also agree that the 2020 election, the presidential election, was the most free and fair election ever. And if I ever say otherwise, it's probably because There we go. This video is gonna make $1 million now. We said what we were supposed to say.
What a weird wording, though, to describe like the most free and fair election ever. Like it just
the most secure election in U.S. history was what the corporate press was running.
Yeah, like that. No, nothing is that secure. So, yeah, it's odd, man. 'Cause I remember a little bit, like a week or so after the result, when it was official or whatever, a friend of mine at work was listening to whatever news, NPR or something like that, and the news reporter woman, she was describing the whole ordeal, and she was just like, you know, well, like, even if like they did find like fraud, like there's probably not enough that like matters, so Trump's just being a baby, you know. Just
I only cheated and lied and deceived. It's not a big deal, though.
Yeah, I remember I stopped. I was just like, what that, like, that's not the point as to why this needs to be investigated. Like, it's just about finding out how legitimate it is. There's no, you know, he lost, I'm so mad. It's just about making sure it's legitimate. But again, this person wasn't told to care, so they shrugged it off. And it's hard to explain to people, like, you know, it means that our votes probably don't matter for the rest of elections.
What is it? I looked into it a little bit, and it seems that if I say the Time magazine article, you at least know what I'm talking about.
I sure do, yeah.
Okay, so for your viewers, then I'll say they're in this Times magazine article. I basically read this article every 1.5 months, and then I broadcast me reading it. You know, and so it's basically, long story short, I'm on YouTube, so I have to be careful.
It'll be on Rumble too, so it's okay.
Oh, okay. A unification of unions and corporate power teamed up together in an implicit bargain with one another in order to ensure the proper outcome of the 2020 election. And they changed election laws pre-COVID-19. They got Mark Zuckerberg to give hundreds of millions of dollars to various election places, and they did a lot of other very sneaky, conniving things. But are legal. That's the key part. They use steroids. They just didn't get caught with steroids, basically. And then they told Time magazine, we did such a good job, us being evil deceivers, we would like to have this published about how great our evil deceit was.
Wasn't that?
And then the author is like, it sounds like a paranoid fever dream. I didn't expect this to be the thing, but it's actually true.
Yeah, wasn't the title something really weird too, like a shadow? Fuck.
I think it was here. I think if I
Like-
type it in I think if I type in the word, the
Like it sounded
I
like
literally type in the word "the" and the letter S. The secret history of the shadow campaign that
yeah.
saved the 2020 election.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It,
They
yeah,
It's still
admitted
the
it.
title today,
yeah, like that should
February
be
4th, 2021.
that should be like an historic admission, but like, do you guys think they see it as an admission, or they?
No, to them, they see
Well,
it as saving democracy.
the article literally phrases it as an admission
Uh-huh.
of a paranoid fever dream that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but is actually true.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, it's
But the thing is, I don't think.
Oh,
The point is, Mr. Excrement, Mr. Filth, your votes will still count because there was a tremendous amount of political and social capital that had to swirl in at just the right time,
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of other things that also had to go along with it. I don't think they'll be able to do that again.
You think? I don't know about that.
Because the only way what they did in 2020 works is if people are locked in their homes in 2022 and 2024,
Mm-hmm.
unless
and
it's
they cancel
California.
all. Well, I mean, California is a what is it? The California is where the Antichrist will be born. And the corporate press, Democrat Party, and Silicon Valley Authority platforms are sort of a devil's trifecta.
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah.
the thing is, you can only mobilize that way so many times, and it can only work so many times. And I don't think they'll be able to mobilize it again.
Well, that's just it, though. Because Senior Filth said he tuned into the court hearings. There are two angles to the approach of what happened. There was voter fraud, and then there's election cheating. That was all kind of thrown into the mix and discussed as election fraud. Whereas Rudy
Wisconsin
Giuliani and
having
Jenna
3
Ellis,
million more voters than registered voters.
Yeah.
things like that, yeah, changing the election rules that they did in Pennsylvania, or having ballots from Long Island, New York being shipped over to Pennsylvania for whatever reason, the counting stopping immediately, yet the counting never actually stopped, like in Georgia, Fulton County, and things like that.
With video
Pro
evidence.
democracy F curbs.
Yeah.
So all that stuff that went down, that's different, say, than what Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood where we're discussing about a foreign conspiracy going on there, whether you choose to believe or not, to how Dominion sent the stuff out to Canada that shot it over to Europe, and what was up with the special operations that went down in Germany to recover some data servers that no one knows what's in those data servers and has not been mentioned ever since. All that, and it's like it's almost clairvoyant, because it all still culminates as to what happened on January 6th. So all this to say that it was a lot of shenanigans did go down, and if for what I do on my show, this is not anywhere near what I talk about. But that's why I ended up having like a reserved podcast where I knew I was going to have to eventually chime in on things, and that's off the record. I took off the record doing almost daily episodes because I wanted to make sure I documented everything that happened leading up to the election, and then immediately after. I just didn't imagine I was going to be doing this almost every other day. And that series I called Election Groundhog Day. So I was putting up all the video clips, I was putting up the articles, I was putting up all shenanigans that were going on to have some kind of record library for all this. And I really, it was somewhere towards Thanksgiving 2020 where I made the claim, and I even put this on Gap TV for others to see because there was no other place for me to put it. And I titled the video Trump's win-win. So even if he loses, he wins. So what I was saying is that based on the Constitution leading up to January 6th, there is the last day in the Electoral College vote that can still sway the election in his favor. It's all constitutional, and I made the case for it and everything that's happened. And I said, but that is almost an impossible thing to happen, the machinery that was in place will make sure he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
So when they don't follow the Constitution properly to address these things and try to sweep it under the rug after Trump is declared the loser, he will win because of the things that will be exposed as a result. In other words, the swamp being exposed. Look at all that's transpired immediately after Inauguration Day with all these greater than thou, holier than thou. I'm on a moral high horse here on these newscasters, and all of them have been
The
disgraced. From Matt Lauer.
20,000 armed troops at the U.S. Capitol.
Oh, and then yeah, to protect
standing
our
army.
health. More people have woken up to what's happened than some care to admit. But that's why and leading up to, like, the entire agenda is exposed, all of it. That's why they had to change their tone this year. It's like, okay, we can't be pushing these mandates per se. We can't be pushing what we wanted to push on our kids, because now look what they're saying. We can't. What was the other thing that they were trying to push? Okay, I said mandates the schools, the defund the police. Fund the police. I'm like, yo, wait a minute. What? Where you guys didn't Trump say all this? So all that is to say, they are being exposed. A lot more people have woken up to that fact, and kind of to what Trevor says, this is the only part that I believe it to be true. That if the shenanigans do happen again, because they did happen to an extent for the special runoff Senate election in Georgia, but that one I knew was going to go the way it went because of everything in place. Should it play out again like this time, that's why now all of a sudden the Democrats are talking about Section 230 because Elon Musk buying Twitter, or how the Babylon Bee did it tongue in cheek, but they know it to be true that. When the Republicans win and have the big red wave and take at least 40 seats in the House of Representatives and God knows how many in the Senate, this midterm election, that now they'll be able to question once again election integrity, what they couldn't do before. So if it happens again, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That is what's happening to the American public. They're like, we see through this. And when you hear all these people like screeching the blue check marks on Twitter, they don't live in a place I like to call reality. And more people are truly finding out about that. It's just a matter of, well, do you guys care enough to make a change to actually go vote? Do you realize how important it is to vote? Or are you not going to let that happen? So it's going to be interesting to see how things do play out with Twitter, because everybody thinks that it's a done deal. No, it's not. Although it was a thing of beauty yesterday, I have to admit it. And I did chime in on this on my Instagram live, so I don't want to repeat anything I said then. But one thing I will add is it helped break the monopoly of information that is basically aggregated from Facebook/Instagram and Twitter. Quite literally the main social spaces, and of course YouTube, where all this information is derived from. Now taking one away gives hope to the idea that maybe this information will be getting to people now, only if those algorithms in place that do the throttling or redirect stuff are removed as well, because Elon says he wants to make the code open source, and he wants to also get those blue checkmark bots removed, only humans to be verified. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, if it does at all.
And also, you shouldn't vote for. No, let me go back a little bit. Even if the Republicans go, it's like so what? You get a Republican like Mitch McConnell. If 40 Mitch McConnell, Mitch McConnell's and Liz Cheney's take the House and the Senate, it's like, oh no, the Democrat Party controlled opposition is in power along with the Democrats. I wonder what's gonna happen here. Like, they don't even want that. Like, they can't even handle that. You know? I'm just like, look, I'm saying this because I say this all the time. There are maybe 4 good Republicans, and half of them aren't in office. You know? And so it's just like, it's just one of those things where it's like, if you vote for a Republican, vote for a like go to do your primary first.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, like on a.
Yeah.
'Cause I do think the. I don't know, you call it like the presidential image to a lot of people might be a little too strong for people. Like people like to vote for that guy who's like giving, you know, the Independence Day like speeches and shit like that. They don't know what the hell he's saying, but there's an image there, and
They want the vibes.
yeah, they want that kind of they want that story, I guess. And it's hard to like break people away from like to bringing it back to like a more dorky kind of informative reason to vote. But I mean maybe I don't know, it's because I get the vibe that people know that like the mainstream is bullshit, but they don't really know what else to trust. And like when the time comes to like start to vote, like I'm not the most confident that they're gonna remember like that they've been lied to, and it's just gonna go back to, you know, voting for the Independence Day president or something like that. So
Yeah, I do hope that people wake up, and it was a thing of beauty because I don't want to mention this too much, but I'm not affiliated with them, but I am becoming close friends with political activist groups here in Southern California that I'll be bringing back on my program. And I've been to a couple of their events, and well, anyway, I don't want to dive into more detail about them, but one of the smart things that they did I thought was pretty awesome was to go hold voter registration booths at the gas stations. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Genius, man.
that was oh man, someone read some Saul Alinsky, a little bit of Machiavelli before they planned that one. Yeah,
that was really, really good move, and it's also to getting even my people to wake up, because there's a monopoly on information for the Spanish community.
Yeah.
They think that, well, there's Univision and there's Telemundo. Yeah, Telemundo's owned by Univision, so you're still getting the same thing. You just think it's from a different angle. No, it's not. And then there's CNN en Español. International news is less biased about the United States than the United States corporate media. But that's what my people need to know, is like turn off Univision, apáganlo. You know, it's like that's what really drives people. Because like, do you not notice that everything you see on the news contradicts what you're living out, your life experiences? They're literally telling you, don't believe your lying eyes, don't believe your lying ears. So it's our people can be hard-headed or stubborn, very stubborn. And I'm just hoping that really changes. I actually had another major influencer on my program. Trevor remembers this. I have William Hall on my program. We interviewed last December, but I didn't publish the episode until sometime January that we had a conversation. There's an extended version of that only on my locals, where he and I talk about election integrity itself, but also what's wrong with the movement on the right to try to get to the bottom of things. It's like, guys, that ship has almost sailed now. We have to re-strategize things, especially when you can't even get the messaging across to the people, because they're commingling what is voter fraud versus voter cheating, for example, and things like that. But anyway, the point is that we did touch on that, because and the solution to really solve it all. And I told him, like, look, this is plain and simple. Election day is the only day to vote. In person, voter ID. That's it. That's all there is to it. And that's the only, why are we not pushing more for that? Instead, we got to get to the bottom of 2020. Why? Because your idea is to supposedly reinstate Trump. I get it. The ship has sailed. It's not going to happen at this level. And if people on my other followers hear what I just said, they're probably going to think that I'm a shill. It's like, no, because you're risking losing everything else right now for something that you know is not going to happen. So I'm trying
A
to
thing that
save
I
what's
tell
left.
a lot of people is to read Saul Alinsky, like to know what your enemy is doing. You know, to like they publish their own works. Like Saul Alinsky, like he's not bad or anything. He wrote his thing to like apply to any movement.
Yeah.
You know, essentially. But like they say this in no explicit terms. Like the Times Magazine article is a perfect example. Like every time these people do something, they tell you how they did it, and they pat themselves on the back and give themselves a victory lap. It's the same thing with Elon Musk buying Twitter and why they're freaking out. It's like, oh, because they're thinking to themselves, oh God, the Republicans are going to get revenge. No, they're not. They're going to get the reins over Twitter, and then they're going to say, I am not going to do what this person, what they've done to me for years. They've only treated me like a second-class citizen for 5 years, deprived me of equal access to the public square, and they set fire to working-class communities and caused $2 billion in property damage in a single summer alone and tore down statues of Abraham Lincoln. But I'm not going to do any of that to them. It's like, no.
Yeah.
No. Do a tenth of what they did, and you'll get 100 times the reaction of 100 times the reaction. And that's what Republicans need to do. The truckers, you know, getting to the bottom of things is fine. But Andres, you're completely right. The ship has sailed. Noble Opposition is another ship that's also sailed. You know, they're using your children as weapons. You know, they're literally doing a pride, like having in-school pride parades for toddlers and telling those toddlers not to tell the parents. You know, now's the time to just push forward and win. You know, that's what it is. And you're completely right. The more people focus on like what happened in 2020, the more it's gonna distract from that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Guys,
you can't just there's no point in taking a pencil to a massive like 6-inch overgrowth, you know? You get a blowtorch, you know?
Yeah.
Be the blowtorch.
Sounds like Andres has to head out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump off, but I will make this public because I said that I did that off the record thing for covering the election, and because it was being throttled on YouTube, that's when I signed up for Rumble. So a lot of it culminated as I live streamed during January 6th and was able to catch a lot of the stuff that happened as it happened, and then in subsequent days, because I needed that also to be on the record, and some of the stuff that you can't find anymore, which I posted exclusively on Rumble, and they're still up there. But last week I shared my analytics for people. I was comparing YouTube, BitChute, Gap TV, Rumble, and others, and what I was highlighting was my censorship on YouTube and Rumble. After January 6th, look at what happened to my Rumble channel. It is incredible what they did. So that's why I'm gonna ask Rumble eventually as I get more clout on Truth Social, because they're on Truth Social now. All their infrastructure is there. It's like, what's to say you guys are gonna throttle here too? Because they've been actually censoring on Truth Social as well. And well, I don't know if it's them or the algorithm that Trump Truth Social bought from Apple. Like, huh? Whatever. And as I'm about to jump off, because this just happened, Project Veritas just posted audio recording from Twitter. You guys saw that?
Yeah.
Twitter. So it's still up, and check it before it's gone. They first posted a 1-minute trailer. They dropped a 2.5-minute clip, and there's supposed to be more to come. I don't know. So just throwing it out there.
I just wait for more to come, and I just go on their website. For the more to come.
It's just that when you tune in and you help and like just interact with it, it helps the algorithm feed it. That's how you beat the algorithms. You overwhelm the dam until it breaks, and they're like, "Crap, we can't just throttle this much." So that's how you.
I cover
that's
Project
how it
Veritas
works.
very regularly.
Yeah, pretty dope.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
All right, man. Thanks for being on.
I'll catch you guys.
See you later, man.
Later. How do we? Oh shit! Sorry about that.
Hey, no, it's all right. What else was on the was on your little list, or would you like to? Or would you like to
Um,
stop? I'm fine with either one.
I mean, did we really get into like libs of
No,
TikTok,
we
like
got
what it meant?
distracted.
Yeah. I guess just like
Yeah.
what do you
Well,
think it just says about like the little man versus the big man? Is I think
I think I alluded to it earlier. People join these corporate press uh, outputs
Mhm,
as and they wear it as a skin suit, and they put their opinions in their articles basically.
mhm.
And that's exactly what that libs of TikTok article. Like, if you actually read that Washington Post article, I went into the Internet Archives and I read it because I'm not paying for their creepy cult garbage.
Yeah.
But so, like, you could if you actually like, a lot of people are focusing more on the fact that, like, the Libs of TikTok lady's address was leaked, how she like went to her parents' house, like she went to the Libs of TikTok lady's parents' house,
Mhm.
like leaked her, like, not her business email, but her personal email, and
Yeah.
a bunch of other. I don't think there was more than that. A lot of people are focusing on that, and to be fair,
I mean, it's
that's a
really
perfectly
fucked up.
fine
Yeah.
thing to that's a perfectly fine thing to focus on. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then but what it means is, it's like, when it happened, I was like, wow, this is an awful thing that Taylor Lorenz did. But the one thing that I wasn't surprised when it happened. It's like, oh, a member of the corporate press is using her institutional power in order to attack the little guy.
Mhm.
Also, let me tell you more about intersectionality. Like, I'm just like, it's just sort of, I don't know how else to put it, other than that John Lennon, other than that I Am Legend thing that I
Mhm.
alluded to earlier. It's like, they're vampires.
Hmm.
Okay, you got to do more than just crush vampires. Okay, you have to give birth to humans. You know,
Yeah.
and the way you give birth to humans is you don't let them get, like, the vampire blood.
Yeah.
You know,
You just see the
basically.
how you see the clip of like her. I think it kind of went viral of like Taylor Rent like talking about doxing and
I'm being doxxed. I'm being harassed. They call
yeah,
me names. Also, let me leak this woman's address a few days later.
yeah.
Like,
But
because here's the thing, she was already, because, like, when you have these long articles like that, she was planning on distributing that article, like,
mm-hmm,
when she was crying on CNN or MSNBC or whatever.
mm-hmm,
She had that article already in the works. The
mm,
part where I don't want to say this because it feels like adding fuel to the fire or whatever, but if you go to the archive of it, the the information that, like, the doxing is in, like, the third and fourth paragraph
yeah,
of the article. She did no attempt to hide it.
yeah.
You know? And she
Isn't it most of it
where am
just
I?
isn't most of it just her saying trying to like justify like how it's like a threat to LGBT yada yada that this exists like this or
Yeah,
was that in
it's
an interview?
because here's the thing. When I alluded to the devil's trifecta, the Democrat
Yeah.
Party, the corporate press, and Silicon Valley Authority platforms, right? That sort of space in the world, when they use the word gay, when they use the word black, they mean politically black. They mean politically gay,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when Ron DeSantis brings out his anti-groomer bill, his parental rights and education bill, which is 7 pages, and it's in very, like, I think someone with, like, not even, like, you could have less than a ninth grade
Mm-hmm.
level of reading, and you could probably read that article just fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's in remarkably simple language for a legal document.
Yeah.
And, like, when they called it the don't say gay bill, they were dog whistling to all their fellow vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is they're attacking our they're attacking what's politically gay.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, it's the same thing when they accuse people of being a white supremacist for opposing black nationalism in schools.
Yeah.
Right. They say, oh, you hate people of color, you hate black people. They mean people who are politically black. They mean people who are politically people of color. Right.
Yeah.
If you've what is it? If you ever hear one of these critical race theory types call people say that they have internalized whiteness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what that means? It means coon.
That's what that means.
That's basically what internalized whiteness means.
Oh, I think I can see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a bunch of rich white people are calling black people coons for opposing the Democrat Party. It's like, oh, okay. A bunch of, but that's the sort of space they're in. They don't use words the way you and me use words. We use words to convey meaning. We use words to be honest with one another, build bonds, with one another. Shout out to the Acropolis affiliate program over on theacropolisnews.com. Anyway, so there's like, we do things like that. We joke around. They don't do that. It's everything they do is for the message. It's for the cause. And that's why she thought it was okay to dox the libs of TikTok lady. Also, it's right wing to just post what people on the left say in their own words. No, it's not. But they don't use words in that kind of way. They use words to acquire power.
It's interesting too, because what Libs of TikTok just does is just expose the retarded ideas that are popular on the left.
And they don't even they don't investigate. They don't do.
Yeah, they just
they
post.
they don't even expose.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, here's this thing here's this funny person.
It's not taken out of context. It's just
this child in an adult's body with a mohawk. Here's this weird thing. This 20-year-old woman with a rainbow mohawk is saying. What do you want to do with Republicans? Throw them in gas chambers? Oh, okay. Isn't that cute? Isn't that quaint? That's what the thing is.
Yeah, and another thing too is, like, I get the feeling that, like, the establishment or whatever you want to call it, like, they don't quite understand, like, the internet culture. And when I see like Libs of TikTok being taken down, like, their justification is just that, I think a lot of it's just that they just don't understand, like, why people follow, like, why it's a significant TikTok or Instagram account. Like, it's just, but it's they look at it as, like, people making fun of these ideas. They take that offense, but I don't know how to put it. It's like, they just don't understand that, like, combating these ideas or laughing at them, like, there's no, they view it as being somehow malevolent, but it's just, it's not. It's just exposing these ideas and just pointing out how ridiculous they are, but they don't understand that.
Yeah, their whole thing is that they're smarter than you, more knowledgeable than you. That's why when you post your opinions, it's dangerous disinformation. That's a threat to democracy. But whenever they say something, like when they go talk about the ghost of Kiev, the Ukrainian children with the Ukrainian flags waving off to tanks passing by, the Azov battalion is not a neo-Nazi battalion. When they say things like that, and then they turn out to be wrong.
Yeah.
Right. It's not because they got something wrong, and because from their perspective, they can't get anything wrong. So when they get something wrong, it's because they've deliberately deceived you. Right. I trust the experts because all the experts agree.
Yeah.
Right? When the experts get something wrong and then they change their minds because they got something wrong, they're my betters. They're the experts.
Yeah.
They did. And so I think what's going to happen is there's going to be tens of millions of people in the United States are going to be like, I keep listening to these people. And the more I keep listening to these people, the more like direct harm it's causing me.
Yeah.
And it's harming my relationships with the people I care about. And eventually they're just going to snap.
Yeah.
And they're going to have absolutely no idea what to do. But that's where the next thing from the corporate press comes. That's where the next current thing comes from. You know? And I say, like, my entire content is predicated on reacting to the people reacting to the current thing.
Yeah.
You know, so like I'm no better, but the thing is I make fun of them, so that makes me correct. You know, but
yeah, but they view like
the same
you
thing with the corporate press.
Yeah.
Like if they get something wrong, okay, if they can't get something wrong by definition according to their own logic. So when they do get something wrong, it's because they are trying to harm me. And if you've harmed me, like if you've deliberately tried to harm me repeatedly, why am I going to listen to you? I don't have to do that. Shut up. You know?
Yeah, but it's weird that like they view just joking about them fucking up as some kind of an attack. I mean, I guess it kind of is, because you are criticizing like their livelihood, their job, or whatever. But I mean, they do deserve it. But it's like they weirdly,
like when someone from the Bible Belt he's like lefties. I shouldn't make fun of people who have a Southern accent, but when they're like when they say blah 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 left wing bad, and then they drink from like an empty beer can as they shoot a full beer can, and they're like, oh, dag nabbit or whatever.
Yeah,
you know, it's like I kind of go like. I kind of like, I don't roll my eyes, but I kind of like nod in disapproval. It's like, okay, like if someone like posted, like if there was a thing called righties of TikTok,
that would be, and I would watch it too.
And it was filled with a bunch of people that are on the right being stupid, you know, and like being stupid, being racist, being sexist or whatever, all being classist, all the same things that the people on these libs of TikTok do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're all like cringe. There has to be an element of cringe because it's not the kind of video doesn't have cringe. It's like they like it would be on CNN, it'd be on MSNBC, it'd be on Huffington Post, the New York Times, The Guardian. There would be articles written from BuzzFeed, Vox, and The Verge about like here's the latest viral righties of TikTok. You know, I'm like they would do the exact same thing if they had the opportunity. But the thing is, the sort of boomer righties that would like do something stupid. Now, to be fair, if someone shot a full beer can and accidentally drank from an empty beer can, I would think that's a bit. I think that'd be some kind of skit, to be honest.
Yeah.
But if they posted it the same way, that lives at TikTok, because there's probably at least 10. No. I don't want to give an exact number, but there's probably some videos on the libs of TikTok thing that turned out to be jokes in retrospect.
Okay.
Like there's probably a parody video that was taken too seriously by libs of TikTok at some point.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing: considering there's never been an article hit piece about it, I'm gonna say no. You know, but like it's this weird thing where like the left sort of pretends that they're, and like I'm using the word left as vaguely as possible. There's a lot of people on the left that say the corporate press is right wing, which
I don't know.
I don't know how you can come to that conclusion, you know. But they just, I don't know. I guess the point I'm trying to make is like I don't care what they say. Like all my where all my stuff is and the kind of news I consume, like I don't watch the corporate press when something happens.
Yeah.
When something happens, I go for the original video.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
yeah,
I
a
go
lot of
for
people.
the original article. Like, I don't do the corporate press anymore, and more people are going to do that.
But also the
Unless
corporate,
they just completely turn off the power grid. You know, it's
yeah, but it's also like the corporate press formula. Like it's just so boring. It really is. Like I mean, I guess this kind of goes into like the CNN plus just failing hard, but
yeah.
but I mean,
They sure did.
like who the hell would want to watch CNN or just like corporate media now and like enjoy it? Like no one's gonna do
Corporate
that.
press is intolerable when it's free.
Yeah.
You know, it's the joke I made last time I was on your show, or I think I said I made the mistake of launching a subscription when I before it was popular,
Mm-hmm.
and CNN made the mistake of launching a subscription service when they were no longer popular.
Yeah, but
You know,
it's how like out of touch do you have to be to think that was a good idea? It's like, wasn't there like fucking like what's his name, Anderson Cooper cooking show on that thing, and like just
I don't know what was on it because I didn't care at all.
but like these are people that are just so boring, so corporate. Like what made them think that like anyone wants to pay attention to that at all? Like I find watching a show like this to be way more entertaining, even if we get stuff wrong, but there's still like a like a humble banter, and there's a genuineness to it. We're not professional.
We're not claiming to be the we don't claim to be standing on the shoulders of giants with our priest-like authority the way the corporate press does.
Yeah. So
we don't disseminate information. we only showed one thing, and I think it was like we showed like a 20-second clip with no audio.
Yeah.
Because it was funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but there's something to that though. Like the corporate mess, like they take themselves so seriously, and it almost feels like that's
the news segments in the way they talk. Now, I didn't come up with this joke. Someone else came up with this joke, with this bit. So kind of bear with me. I'm probably going to butcher it. But they're Senor Filth is our guest on tonight's program. In this program, we go over libs of TikTok and the blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah blah. You know,
it's like it's very formulaic, and it just sounds the same all over. And
why do they talk like that?
I don't know.
Why does Chris Wallace go in later news? The blah 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 blah. You know, like why? What's the point in talking like that?
Yeah,
I just don't get it.
I think there's something about like people are used to the news kind of being presented in a very professional way, but it's odd because like the professional news is just so bad nowadays. It's like this weird thing where like you could watch like Tim Pool
when Don Lemon
Yeah.
And Brian Stelter. No, it wasn't Brian Stelter. When Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo were like having being flirty with each other for like 3 weeks straight. They were just being like really flirty with each other for no reason.
Oh my god! That reminds me.
I don't think like Chris Cuomo isn't even gay. It was weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
I found the weirdest. I got to bring it up next time. Shit. I found an Instagram page of one of those Instagram skanks, but her name is something like big titties or something like that. But she weirdly has a weird obsession with Chris Cuomo. I have to find that account.
Not Andrew Cuomo, right?
The CNN. Was it Chris?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the weirdest fucking thing. And she's like gross, and she's
bad and gross, but she has like a weird hard on for Chris Como on her Instagram
Well,
page.
as a woman, definitionally she can't have
Yeah.
hard on. But I don't know. I get your point.
I gotta find that page. Fuck. But yeah, maybe go over it next time. But
I can't make that joke. Not because it won't go on YouTube if I make the joke. It's just a wild joke.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it.
I guess real quick before we go, I just want to like share my weird experience with Etsy because it's I'm curious to know like
I read it.
I'm curious to know if anyone who's recently opened up an account or tried to sell anything has had the same issues, because it's so weird. Because I was originally getting some sales, but then I started getting messages from people saying that they weren't able to complete the transactions.
Yeah, here, I'll read out the. Do you want me to read out the questionnaire and the Chris Wallace?
Let me just set it up a little bit. But
right.
Yeah, so I find out that the problem was that I haven't. First of all, like I think I had my PayPal linked to Etsy, and I think Etsy went into the whole Ukraine thing. So I got a message from them that like, because something to do with Russia, they're not accepting PayPal payments now, which is weird. Yeah, I'll share that with.
Russia's been kicked off of SWIFT. PayPal won't. They've been kicked out of the international reserve currency. It doesn't. They don't have PayPal.
It's weird. I have no idea why I got that message. But then to correct that, I had to enroll into like some Etsy payment plan, and
oh god,
and the email that they sent me that I had to sort of verify my account was, they asked me for a picture of my ID, and they asked me to fill out or just answer this question that was in this really bizarre questionnaire that they sent me that came from Etsy. And again, I'm just trying to sell silly pins, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to...
I've looked at your shop. You make custom pins of like Squidward or whatever.
Yeah, like Simpsons stuff. But I somehow, I don't know if I'm getting...
double your sales if you also sold magnets, by the way, but like didn't hear from me.
So I'm not sure if this is just a common thing with Etsy or what. It's very bizarre that this would come out. I guess if you want to, do you know how to share it, or
I think
or can I?
Yeah,
I guess if you want to share it and read it, if you want to, because it's the strangest fucking thing.
Yeah, sure. I'll share the window. Can you?
Yeah.
I want to see how it. I want to see how it looks before you. Before you do that. All right, cool. All right.
This is from Etsy.
Policy exposed. People include current or former. I can't. My throat hurts doing that. Officials elected or appointed in the executive, legislative, administrative, military, or judicial branch of government. Senior officials have a major foreign political party or senior executives of foreign government-owned commercial enterprise. You must complete this form if an immediate family member, including spouses, parents, siblings, children, or spouses, parents, or siblings, or any individual publicly known to be a close personal or professional associate falls into one of the categories above. Do you hold a political position of public trust or political office? Are you associated with or related to someone in a public trust or a political office? Yes or no? If you answered yes, who is it? What office does this person hold? Name and date.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
Yeah,
I just don't.
I'm curious to try to start accounts in other websites to see if I'll get the same thing. Because I've asked around.
Because maybe I don't know what that could possibly entangle. So it's like, what if if your friend's wife's friend is a state congressman's brother, do you have to say yes?
I don't know.
It's so weird. How would you even know, you know?
But like, why are they
Or who am I
asking that?
know? That's a stupid question at the end. Yeah, exactly. Why would you ask this?
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I've sold on other sites, but yeah, I have no idea where this is coming from, and it's fucking with my sales because it's put my shop in like a standstill for like the last 2 weeks, and their customer
Maybe
service is
it's,
terrible.
The only thing I could possibly think of is that it's some sort of liability thing for Etsy against like
Maybe.
money laundering or something.
I don't know, man.
But like, in what way you? Because I'd imagine like, because I have an e-commerce thing on my store for subscriptions, and I'm gonna offer like products very soon. The minute I can figure out how to like sell like a shirt, like shirts or whatever.
Yeah.
Find a way to ship those cheaply, but like. But like I would like, so like it'd be like if e-commerce sent me an email. It's like, is your like Spaceballs, you know, mothers, brothers, daughters, sisters, cousins, nephews, stepdaughters, uncles, cousins, roommates, father, you know, is like in a government position of some kind, you know, if they did an internship at OSHA when they were in high school. You know, oh, you can't sell your products.
Let's see. It's called
so
the
weird.
It's called the PEP questionnaire. Let's see if that's a thing I can find.
Yeah.
Question. Spelled it wrong.
Yeah. Politically exposed person client questionnaire.
I found something from TradeStation, but it's not as. It's a lot more detailed.
Yeah, I look. Yeah, it is.
But
well, let's go into news. Actually, let me use my let me use let me like I have like 5 browsers. So whenever I look something up, I check all of them.
Yeah.
And Brave is
yeah, that's what I use too.
Yeah, the Brave search engine as well. Search engine is in beta.
Yeah, it's not great. But even when I questioned Etsy about it, like they would just send me copy and paste responses. So it's this weird fucking thing going on.
Oh, there is Wolfsburg's principles.
Nothing?
Oh, here's what I think it is. I'm still looking into this for a future Trevor report, but have you ever heard of an ESG score?
That sounds
EEG?
That sounds familiar.
Like yeah, I don't know much about it because I literally just started looking into it before the show for like a Trevor report intended for later. But it's basically like politically correct, like compliance kind of thing. So what it looks like that thing is, it looks like it's a way to like search out for people who have influence. Basically, you know, with the whole the World Economic Forum kind of thing. You know.
Do you think this is a? Did you hear about that? We should probably end the show soon. But anyways, I just saw on Breitbart, like Google is doing some like inclusive language thing.
Yeah.
Could that?
I don't use Google Docs at all.
Yeah.
Now I'm never going to use them again. I cannot believe they thought they could get away with this. You know,
super creepy.
Yeah.
Man, I guess we should start winding down because we can get more into that. But
yeah.
I guess we can save that for another show. I guess
And to all you wonderful viewers out there, this is Senor Filth, and my name is Bonica Velata. You can you could go to
Acropolis.
you could go to the Critical Introverts the Critical Introverts over on Rumble, Odyssey, and soon to be on Rumble and
YouTube.
YouTube, and soon to be on Odyssey. You should
Yeah.
hurry up and make that Odyssey account because Odyssey's great, you know.
Yeah, I'll
And you
get
should
on it,
also not join BitChute because my God, it's terrible. You know, you could also find the Critical Introverts over on Getter. You could also find the Critical Introverts over on
Gab.
Gab. You could
And I'm setting up a Minds, but it's this whole Etsy thing has just been such a headache that like it's sort of taking my time. But anyways, follow Trevor at Acropolis News. He does the what's it called, the Trevor Report, correct?
and I'm also the editor-in-chief.
Mm.
And so when you look at the articles, you could actually see my biases, and you could see if the articles reflect my biases. Spoiler alert, they don't, because they don't, except for the ones written by me. You know.
All right, I guess we'll just kind of end it there. I'm Senor Filth. Thank you for watching. Now part of the Acropolis News Network. Thank you for Trevor Brown for including me. And
hey, no problem.
let's give a shout out to Andres for being on.
The Andres Segovia show over on a bunch of
On everything, pretty much.
You have if you have a podcast player, you can watch the Andres Segovia show over on his podcast player. You can also check out his more edited videos over on YouTube.
Locals.
Gab TV, Locals is where he gets his monies.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other places. If you think he's on it, he's probably on it. And I don't think he's on Utreon. And to be fair, I'm not on Utreon either. They have some serious problems, and I'm not going to join until they fix it. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess thanks for watching. See you guys another time. Peace.